Well, hey there, and welcome to a very different episode of People in Progress. I'll call this one Church in Progress because it's going back to the very early roots of our church. And this comes from a cassette that I found in the church. You never know what you're going to find around church. But I believe this was a conversation between one of the legends around here, Pastor Tommy Davis, who was pastor here twice, and combined his time here together was, I believe, over 20 years serving this congregation. And so we think a whole lot of Pastor Tommy Davis and are appreciative of his time here. You'll also hear some other voices. I believe her name is Elsie Coles and Virginia. And so I don't know Virginia's last name because I guess I haven't been around long enough, but some of you are around the church who have been around Belton Nazarene Church for a long time may recognize these voices and may know where they're talking about when they mention streets like Baker and Armstrong. But I just think it's really cool that they did kind of an audio tour. This seems to have been recorded in the late 1980s, bringing it to you today in 2024. And it's just kind of cool that they describe, how family members let them use land and revivals, conversions. And I just think you'll get a big kick out of this. It is, coming off of a tape, so it does have all the artifacts and fuzz and noise. And so that may give you the warm fuzzies. But anyways, we're going to go back in time. So let's jump in the machine and let's go.
And then they'd have, sometimes they'd have Sunday school.
This was at Sulphur Springs?
At Sulphur Springs, but it wasn't the Nazarenes.
Oh, okay.
But then after we had our out there at home on our place, then they went to Armstrong. They didn't have enough members.
Okay.
Or they didn't try to organize the church out there. There's several years in there, I don't remember what they done, but they didn't preach there at Belle Plains for 2 or 3 years. Then they had a revival down on the Slough Creek close to Armstrong. And there they had Sister Bessie Williams was the preacher, and Brother Lance and Brother Page, he was the singer. He led the singing. And they all camped down there. And they had 10 or 12 kids feast. And they had a revival, just their bunch. And
just for their bunch, huh?
And a lot of us, we camped down there too. There's a lot of campers down there then during the revival, and I think it was 3 weeks long. But anyway, out there at home, they had the first revival at the Methodist Tabernacle there. And then they wouldn't let them preach anymore, so they came over and wanted to preach in the pasture there on our place, and Papa told them just tear the fence down and go in there. So they took the wall down and built a arbor and had a revival there 2 weeks. And they stayed.
Do you remember the date of that at all? About what time of the year?
Well, I was 14 years old, and I think it was about 1914 or 15. I think it was 1914 because Lonnie was converted there in that revival, and he was 19 years old.
Okay.
And he's 5 years older than me, so I was 14. Well, I was born in 99, but I was born in the fall, see, in September, and this was in July, and I think...
Just before you was 15,
just before I was 15. And then they turned my dad out of the church because he let them preach there. Mm-hmm. And then Mama joined the church, and during the same time they turned him out. Well, they said, well, what are we going to do with him? he didn't join. They said, well, he's exposed, so just go ahead and turn him out. So then...
He was exposed to the wrong kind of preaching?
He's exposed to the Nazarenes.
Oh, okay.
And then they didn't come back for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years there. I think they had a revivalist in Holland or somewhere down there. And where Brother Lance lived down there in Holland.
Okay.
And then they went to Armstrong, and I think I was either 17 or 18 during the revival there. That was in 19 and 17, because it was in July, the meetings were.
Okay.
Just before I was 18, I think. And then they let them preach and let us have service up at the schoolhouse. It was a big schoolhouse, been consolidated.
This is in Armstrong?
In Armstrong, We didn't, when they organized the church, we didn't have a church or anywhere to go to. So they let them have the church up there for, I don't know just how long, several months, though, not a year. But anyway, they went down and bought this Sulphur Springs schoolhouse, that used to... And so Lonnie McQueen and Charlie Gist paid for it. And the land that belonged to I think it belonged to Love's, a fellow by the name of Love. And when they didn't have school or anything, or church there, the land went back to the heirs, but the schoolhouse belonged to the Nazarenes. So I think Willis French sold the church. And then they organized one that had a revival in Belton. And they had several members, so he moved the church from Sulphur Springs to Belton and built the church.
Okay.
That is in I believe it was in 41 or somewhere along that 41 or 42 when he built the church in Belton. Was, I think, about 20 members or something like that.
Do you remember some of the families that joined the church when it was organized at Armstrong?
Yes, Sister Graham was one of the main members. She was really one of the, caused them to have the revival at Armstrong. They had it in under pecan trees down there on the creek. It was a lovely place, lots of pretty shades and everything, so she had them to come down there. I think she must have attended at Belle Plains when the services, because she was one of the main members. And then Brother Kelly, Margie's daddy and mother, they were two of the members.
Okay.
And my mother and my brother Lonnie. And I don't remember how many, I don't remember the others. I didn't join. When I joined the Nazarene Church, we was having church in Sulphur Springs then.
Okay, you remember what year that was?
Well, I think I was about 18 years old.
Okay.
Because I don't think we had church a year, hardly, at Armstrong. We just had Sunday school almost every Sunday with a preacher that come out of temple and preach for us once a month, I think. And then the rest of the time we just had Sunday school like that down there.
Do you remember when Mabel got started at church?
No, I don't remember when she
talked like that she was converted at Armstrong about the age of 9.
Well, that's about right, because I think I'm 10 years older than Mabel.
I know she was thinking that's where the church was actually organized.
It was organized there, but we had the revival out there too, out there at Belle Plains. And it was the same people, same pastor, same preacher for the land.
Okay. How close together are all of these located? From Belle Plains to Armstrong over to Sulphur Springs?
Well, they're just in a close community.
Are they?
Uh-huh.
Okay. That's what I wanted to see, kind of where they's all located. I've seen the Sulphur Springs location.
Well,
but that's the only one I've
Armstrong
seen.
first because it's closer here.
Okay.
And then on out to Belle Plains to our place. Now I think we turn to the right up here.
Okay.
Mabel's daddy come to our part up there. Well, I know my daddy rented a place for him and for my Uncle Alvin. He was still single and still lived with grandmother. And he let them have the place he rented, and he bought a place. We moved on our place. And he told the landlord that he'd see that, said, now I'm going to move them up here down Val Verde. And they're going to work the place, and said if they can't work it like you want it worked, says I'll be right there with them, and I'll help them, and I'll see that the place is worked. And Mabel was about 3 years old.
Or shit.
And Alma was just a year old, or about a year old. And I was, I guess I was 12 or 13, I don't remember. I think I'm 10 years older than. Anyway, another one of my cousins that my grandmother raised. This don't need to go on that.
Okay, so this is Armstrong Road, and this goes up to where the
Armstrong Schoolhouse is.
Armstrong School. Now this is where, after they had the revival on y'all's farm, they probably had several in Holland, you think?
Well,
and then come back out here?
I think they had at a little place called Hackberry down close to Holland.
Okay.
And the reason I say that, because we had a lot of people that come to our church, or come to our, when they had it on our place, from down Hackberry in Holland, right
Okay.
now. And I think that's where they started their revivals. I don't know. One at Hackberry I know.
Okay.
But I was kind of small then, and I wasn't too much interested, and I didn't.
You knew it was happening, but it didn't all register with you too good, did it?
That's right. And having a good time to play. Just sit down here.
Okay, so and so they had the services in this same building?
Same building.
We ought to have a picture of that.
Well, I don't have.
Well, I know we could get a picture of it, you know, come out and take one.
Well, that would be good. It was the upstairs building on the south side. School, where I went to the room I was in school, when I went to school down there in 8th grade. Didn't teach 7th or the 8th grade at Belle Plains, so I had to be transferred here.
Okay.
Let's see it.
Okay, so this is here at the corner of Summers Mill Road and Armstrong. The sun's going to be right in our face, I guess.
No, it's that one right over there. Go upstairs and.
So, okay, so upstairs in the left side of that building is where you held the services.
That's right. That's right.
Here's the old Armstrong School. And do you remember when it was organized, who the preacher was here then?
Brother Lance was the preacher.
Was he?
Was the main one. Now he was.
Was this Hope
Lance and Sister Williams. I think Sister Williams and Hope Lance organized the church.
Okay.
She was evangelist.
And Hope farmed out here, didn't he?
He lived at Holland, down below Holland.
Okay.
And Brother Page lived at Rogers. They stayed with us 2 weeks.
Did they eat up all your food?
Yeah, and I had to milk cows and get ready to go to church.
Are you like the one lady told me that she was growing up, said all the evangelists used to stay with them, that she'd get aggravated because they'd sit on the porch all day and rock, and she'd have to work and sweat and feed them. And
Yeah. No, my dad, he worked, but he never said a word. He fed them for 2 weeks, and he never said a word.
Yeah.
And they ate, too, I want you to know.
So, okay, now from here, which way is it to Belle Plains?
Straight on.
Oh, on down Armstrong Road.
Right straight on.
Okay. Well, we'll get out here one of these days and get a picture of that. I had seen that building, but I didn't know that's where the church was organized.
It was.
And so that nucleus of people came on into Belton when the church was built there by way of Sulphur Springs in that church building. I keep going straight?
Straight,
Mother, is out here where you have the...
Right here's where we have the revival, right down there.
Okay, so you're right on the banks of Slato Creek, wasn't you?
Right there. This mess hole wasn't here.
Okay.
All those big shade trees, and there's a camper under every one, nearly.
Okay.
And at a certain time in the afternoon, the women all went to the down and took a bath. Certain time the children all went. Then the men went. They went further on up.
What about that?
Everybody would bathe in the creek.
So, how many years did they have the revival here?
Just one.
Just one before they organized it?
They organized it when this revival closed, and then some of the people got, I don't know, can't tell you who it was, but I think it must have been Sister Grimm and the Kellys or somebody, got the church got the schoolhouse for us to hold meetings in for a while till we could get a place.
Did they actually organize it down here before they went up to the building?
I believe so. I believe they did. Best I can remember, it was here.
That's a lovely setting, isn't it?
It's a beautiful place out there. Beautiful. This wasn't here. This bridge wasn't here.
The bridge wasn't?
No. Just a little low.
There's still some poles out there. I think we could hook up lights now and have a meeting.
Virginia, there's Miss Vogel on that now.
Well, she owns 40 acres out here, but I don't know if she owns that.
I believe she owns across where the schoolhouse is, across over there. I believe that's where she owns. I don't believe she owns that part. She's a good friend of ours, but
Now, where they cut the fence to go into your father's place, is it right on this road?
It is on this road, but it's up in the pasture further up.
Is it?
I believe it's closed up. I don't believe we can get up there to it.
Okay, that's why.
Now, it's not very far up there. You know, if we could get through the fence, we could walk up there, but
I don't know about that long somebody else.
Yes,
yeah, that would be
farm.
You have to have permission.
Yeah, anymore, you have to really be careful.
That's just on the other side of this.
Okay, so this is the cemetery out on the road, and the church was behind it?
Back west.
Okay.
The tabernacle was next to the graveyard.
Okay.
Then the church sat just west of the tabernacle. It's a big church. It holds more people than our little church does.
Okay.
And then on there's where the first revival, right up there. And then our pastor joins right yonder.
Oh, okay. So yours joined the cemetery here. Okay. Was the first revival held in the church, in the tabernacle?
In the tabernacle.
Okay.
It was in July.
That's a hot month, wasn't it?
Sure was. We didn't miss a service, though.
That's something.
And we had service in daytime, too.
Okay, so this is at the corner of Barnes Road and Armstrong Road, isn't it? Where the old Methodist Church sat. Y'all's property came right into this
Right
as well.
here, right
Okay.
here, right here, right here. This was the road. See,
Oh, there used to be a road through there?
Right, yes, the road went up there and went plumb on back west. There's 2 or 3 houses down west of there.
Oh, okay.
Right up there now, right straight up to the sun, you see is where the revival was.
Okay, so you went up the other road to get into it back then?
Went up this road,
Okay.
up to the church. This was a public road that went plumb on through back there. So
And
the
so your
church,
place was across the road from the church, basically.
right. With church, we joined the church on the north and the school on the south was right between. 250 acres.
Okay, so that's between the Methodist church here and the Sulphur Springs school that you'd ended up going to?
No, the school is Belle Plains out here.
Oh, Belle Plains School,
Then we'll go
okay.
on down here and go way around, come back to Sulphur Springs.
Okay,
you see.
very fine. Okay.
It's on the other road, but right straight up under the sun is where the revival in our pasture. So the boys just pull the steeples all out of the wire and put it down where they could go in and out. And Brother Lambs every night when the revival is over, or when the church is over, the meeting, well, he would take the wire up and fix it so Papa's stock couldn't get out. Well, that's where it was, right up there.
Now, Hope Land, did he get saved down here, or was he already a Christian at that time?
He's already a Christian when I knew him. I think he had 12 kids. He's getting to be a pretty old man.
Okay.
He's 60 anyway, close to it. Because he had 2 boys I know older than me, and a girl older than me. He wasn't as old as my parents, but he was. Now this is his barn here.
Okay.
It was plumb on down below these houses, under some big live oak trees.
Well, that's where that barn is down there.
Okay, she's down below the hill a little bit.
It was tore down when this turkey business took it over.
Elsie, do you know where the Smith farm is located from Belton that the rock came off of with the church there now?
Smith. Was it Jim Smith's place?
I don't remember what his name was.
Well, it is back there at Armstrong.
Was it?
Close to Armstrong, kind of between. Yes, it was right west of that where Junior Tolia horse racing is going to be.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's where.
What place is that?
That's Bunker's house there. No, here's Bunker's. Here's Bunker's. Slato folks. Here's where they bought the church, but the land went back to theirs.
Okay, yeah. Well, we came out with Marge and Otis and looked at the cross out here in the
Here's
church.
where it was, right
And,
here.
came
Right
down
out
this
there
road.
under that big old tree where they'd have revival.
Is it?
And back up this way, and then...
Well, now, did the buildings get out here real close to the road?
I did, right up here.
Right back here, this is all empty.
Oh, was it? Okay.
But yeah,
Was it?
it was a good sized building.
And so this here, where it's called Sulphur Springs. And they came here from Armstrong.
Right.
To worship here. And they bought the building, and who did you say the land belonged to?
I think it belonged to Love's, a fellow by the name of Love. Now my husband's aunt lived right here, Split Garbers, but the land didn't belong to them, and there was Love's over there, and I think it didn't belong to the Loves.
Okay.
Best I can remember.
And then, how did Willis French fit into that now?
Well, he was one that the Frenchies came and was in the revival at our place at Belle Plains. Back when Willis was a little bitty feller. I can't remember just exactly how old he was, but he lived down Holland, close to Holland, and he come with the Lances up there. They did. There's all of them. Willis was, I think, then they moved to Temple and lived there, and Willis was converted at Temple, I think, and I believe that his father was maybe converted there. I don't remember about that, where this converted. But anyway, when Mr. French was converted, I believe it was at Temple's where he is converted. And he throwed his tobacco away. And Willis went home that night and he said, Mother, says, do you think Daddy's really going to throw that tobacco away? She says, well, I don't know, but we'll see. So, sure enough, he never did pick it up no more.
What
He
about
threw
that?
it. And I remember hearing them tell that, Sister French tell that.
Well, I knew Leela told me that she was converted at Temple, and that's where she had gone to church, you know.
And then they moved out here. And when she and Bill married, she was going to church out here. Because they had moved out close to Slato.
Okay.
And
did they have the revival in Temple before they got ready to move the building, or did they move it first, or did they tear it down and use the lumber? How did they do that?
I don't know what you mean.
This building here.
Oh, we built the church at Belton.
Out of this wood, or I mean, out of this building?
No, Willis sold that. I don't know
okay.
Who. He sold it to somebody. I don't know who.
Okay.
No. But then they had all the Frenches had all been going to Temple to church for years and years before they came out here for a long time. And I know we went to Temple a few times. I know I heard after Willis went to preaching, I don't think he is more than 18 or 19 years old, we went and heard him preach a sermon on the dry bones in the valley of, what valley was it, in the dry, where he picked up the dry bones and put them together, and they
the valley. It's just me right now, Elsie.
Well, that's what he preached on, and I'll tell you, that little feller, he might near leave the stage. Now, I never saw him. Mama would come all the way home. That was the most wonderful sermon she ever heard in her life. How she did enjoy it.
Well, now, did you have a regular pastor at the time they was moving the church from here into Belton?
Yes, Brother Albert Levinsky was our pastor.
So he had already started pastoring out here?
Right.
Okay.
And he is pastor when we had the revival. I don't remember who preached for us there. But Albert was the pastor.
Okay. Now, you had mentioned you thought the church was built there in 41?
I think so.
Okay. Why don't you talk with Mabel some about that, see if y'all can pin that date down. She gave me a date in August of 1940. She thought it was built, and that's why I had mentioned that 90 would be our 50th anniversary.
Well, it might have been in 40. It was either 40 or 41.
Yeah, it was August something. That like the last Sunday's not the exact date, but it was in the late part of August, whatever date she gave me. And I didn't write it down, but it was 1940. So I want y'all to talk about it some. Maybe together you can kind of put your minds together and come up with really, the actual time and everything.
Well, we moved to Belton in 42. Virginia went to school. She finished high school in Belton in 42 and 43. And we started building the church the year before. Before we moved to Belton in 42. We moved to Belton in July of 42. And the church, I don't remember if had built the church then or whether we're still having church in the old house. I don't remember. We had church in the old house where we bought the land, bought the place.
Yeah.
And I don't, maybe, and I believe it was 41 when the church was built, but I'm not sure.
We had church in the Woodman of the World.
A few times till we bought the place, Virginia.
Yeah.
When we bought the old house, then they tore out you remember that, don't you? Well,
Now, do I understand that this was named Sulphur Springs School because there used to be a sulphur spring down here?
Uh-huh. Right on down here was the spring.
It wasn't a school.
This back here wasn't a school to begin with?
Yes, it was a school till when they consolidated and the children didn't go there anymore and it was just left vacant.
Okay, so the spring was right down this way then, okay.
It's right down there.
Right down there, just a little piece right there. Where that, you see that sign is right across the road from there.
Okay.
No, how come the church down there, and us to have church, it was always a school there. Sulphur Springs School. But when they consolidated Amity and Sulphur Springs and Armstrong and Summers Mill, and they didn't take us, Belle Plains, but all the others went in. Well, they didn't have school there. The kids all went to Amity or Armstrong. And that was just a vacant there, but they had, I don't know if they had Sunday school there in church. They had singings every Sunday or Sunday night. They had singings. And that's what we used it for. And then when we didn't have a place to go, we kept looking around, and they finally found that they could buy that schoolhouse down there. So Lonnie McQueen and my brother, he was a preaching then, or trying to preach. And Mr. Charlie Gist bought it, paid for it. And I think the church paid them some. I don't remember how much. They didn't pay it all out, but they paid what they could. And they paid the rest.
Now, the Guest family lived out here in this...
right out here.
Did they?
Right out there. She was a member of the church herself.
Right here on the banks of the Slate Oak Creek.
Right back there, that big old house.
The Malvins just lived right here. They had 5 kids would come to church. One of the boys still on.
Now, Malvins, they still live in town?
No, Elder lives in Temple. He works for Reverend.
Father and Mother's dead.
And the one that's my age lives in Arlington.
Okay, so their parents, were they charter members of the church out here?
No,
Were they members?
No.
So they never did join? They just came?
Join, but they came all the time. And Boots, he's the oldest there. He was converted.
Are there some other families there in Belton that way back there was associated with the church that don't go now?
Mullins and the Branches and the McQueen.
They're all dead.
But that was most of the initial families that was in the church out here originally?
Well, Simmonses, too, and Andersons. But they all moved and left there. Some of them went to New Mexico, and some went to Temple. And they're all dead now. All of them except grandkids. So,
live right down the road here, Mother.
who?
May and Rudolph Sleep.
Well, they went, now the Sleep girl, Marie, she was a member. But now here,
Should I turn there?
well, let's see. Didn't join, but they come to church all the time.
Now, what was that name again?
Sleep.
Okay, and they came all the time. But they didn't join either.
No, but their girl did. Marie, she joined, she was a member, and she played the piano for us.
You know where she lives now?
She's dead.
Is she?
And Uncle Frank lived right on down here. Later, when we had the church and stuff with Frank, he lived down close to Holland when they had the revival out there at our house.
Uh-huh.
Here.
Is this where your Uncle Frank lives?
That's Mabel. Mabel is...
Okay, so that was Mabel's father?
Uh-huh.
And that was the old place right
That's
there?
the old place, uh-huh. That's it. It belonged to the Aikenses. He stayed there, though, for years and years. Uncle Frank was a good farmer. And he stayed there for years and years. I know that Mabel and Alma both finished high school while they lived there. I don't know about the other kids.
Uh-huh.